How are you, Paul? That's a fellow Portmarnock man there.
Here we go. We're warmed up now anyway.
Oh, God.
Step in a little. Paul Brown and Al Foran here.
Now,
5 minutes deep into our interview. Now we've remembered to press the record button. So I say we, I mean me. But we're here ahead of Zuffa Boxing 10, which goes down. The official weigh-ins have just concluded. All fighters on weight. All fighters looking healthy, looking fit, looking strong. It's going to be a good night.
Absolutely. I'm about to regurgitate the waffle that I just regurgitated in the previous interview. No, Paul, it's a brilliant night for Irish boxing. It's a brilliant month for Irish boxing. Obviously, last weekend with Pierce O'Leary in the Tree Arena, it was a great night. Listen, obviously, the Lee Reeves incident was something that was very scary for a lot of people in that arena, and our thoughts and prayers are with Lee and his family at this moment in time. And you don't like to see stuff like that happen, obviously, and he's a great lad, Lee Reeves. You've interviewed him before. He's a really good kid, and he's done so much for charity, mental health charities. But it was an action-packed night last weekend, and it's happening again this weekend in the Tree Arena with the McKennas. A well overdue homecoming fight for those two lads who have grafted for the guts of 21 years, travelling across America, training in the best gyms in the US and sparring the best fighters that country has to offer. And hard to believe, really. I think Stevie's, 16, 17 fights in. This is Aaron's 21st fight.
21st, yeah.
And it's their first time fighting in Ireland. Hard to believe.
Massive occasion, and obviously we were speaking about before the swell of support that they would have had throughout their careers, but this is a reward for all of those people who've backed them, including their dad. They get to have this homecoming. They're both on the same card. Aaron's fighting for a world title. The only part of the fairy tale left to write is that they both get their hand raised tomorrow evening.
Yeah, absolutely, and a job has to be done, but I just think there's something different with the McKennas. There's a different mental switch to those two lads. Aaron is just razor focused, Stevie as well, and I think that's all down to the guidance from their dad Fergal, who decided early on to build a gym outside his back garden in their home in Monaghan. This is like, you walk into that gym, it's like you're transported to an old school gym in New York or in Los Angeles. That's the vibe that he's kind of created for those two boys, flying them over to America at an early age. The graft will be well worth it tomorrow night in the Tree Arena if they do pull it off, especially Aaron. And I just think, they're both world level fighters, and they're here to prove that point tomorrow night.
In the co-main event, of course, we've got King Callum Walsh, and this is a guy that Zuffa Boxing have put their backing behind from day one. He was their first guy, and they get to again reward him with a big appearance here in Dublin's Tree Arena.
Well, you look at the three lads, you look at the two McKenna brothers, and you look at Callum. They both grafted in America. Callum bet on himself. He flew out to America during COVID a couple of years ago. I don't think he had a penny. He flew out there, went to Freddie Roach's gym, trained there. Freddie saw the potential in young Callum. Obviously, he was a very good amateur. Freddie seeing that work ethic, potential, and ability, and here we are, 16 pro fights later. He's got the backing of Dana White, and the other two boys have the backing of Dana White too. So I think the fact that these three young lads, these three middleweights, they grafted in America. That's where their start was. That's where they kind of gained a reputation before, gaining a reputation here at home or in the UK. I think it's a perfect match. Callum Walsh and Zuffa, the McKenna brothers and Zuffa. It's a perfect match with regards to the contacts that they probably have in America too, and the reputation they have.
One thing we'd be interested, I suppose, to ask Dana White, if we get to speak to him this week, is this the first step in an ongoing journey? It feels like it is. The fact that they're bringing home Irish fighters, there's some good ones on this card, a lot of guys in the same division. It feels like they're trying to build something here. Yeah,
I think they are trying to build something here. I think there's a boom in Irish boxing, Paul. There's a boom across all the promotions in Irish boxing. I mean, you look at Queensberry, you look at some of the young lads that they have, Adam O'Lanian, Bobby Flood, Stephen Cairns, Pierce O'Leary, who will come back from that fight last week. I think what was the most impressive thing about Pierce O'Leary is how he came back after that early hurdle in those early rounds last week. So there's a serious crop of talent. And then, of course, we've the big one on the 5th of September in Croker. You know, obviously Katie has cemented her status not just in Ireland, globally, but you've got the likes of Paddy Donovan on that card. You know, you've got the two young lads I mentioned, Bobby Flood and Adam Malanian, and Thomas Carty, you know, our most popular heavyweight in the country, going up against Dave Allen. So there's a massive boom. We'd never seen this before. You know, 3 big events from 3 different promotions in the span of 5 weeks taking place in this country. I mean, it's definitely a boom. If somebody thinks that there's not a boom in Irish boxing, they're mad.
One other fight I'll ask you about, Mighty Joe Ward is back this week, and this is a guy I've been dying to see back in action almost 2 years, I think 22 months, but he's coming in here against an unbeaten opponent, Artem Kasparian. But we spoke there about good amateur records. There's a few that are more decorated than Joe, and it's so good to see him back in action, isn't it, on this platform?
I think he is one of our most decorated amateurs. So considering how much he's won as an amateur, a highly talented fighter. I'm sure a big crowd from Athlone will be coming across the way for Mighty Joe Ward. He had that hiccup in his first fight, which was so unfortunate. We've seen that happen with Thomas Carty in New York last year.
And you therefore consider both guys unbeaten.
It's hard. Yeah, you would. It's hard. That kind of I hate seeing that in boxing. It's terrible to see. But listen, he's picked himself up. 12 wins since then. He's a highly talented pro, and I think he can only go all the way. You know, you forget about the crop of talent that we have, you know, with Mighty Joe Ward as well. You know, and all of them seem to be floating about in these 3 big promotions.
Yeah, it's the land of opportunity at the moment. Dublin in particular, absolutely on fire this month. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Al, thank you so much.
Oosh.